Uh-oh, Cobra's got a Croc. Here's a look at the Hasbro G.I. Joe classified series, Croc Master and Fiona. The Croc Master and Fiona figures come ready for action, with multiple points of articulation for high posability with 7 character-inspired accessories. And with the custom artwork by Luke Priest, the G.I. Joe Classified Series Croc Master and Fiona package will make a mark on your collection. Having owned the original Croc Master as a kid, I was super excited to find out that Hasbro was going to be releasing him in the Classified Series, because as you look at the figure and the accessories that we're about to have a look at, it looks literally like they took the Real American Hero version and increased his size and added some much-needed articulation. We're going to look at his accessories, though, in a moment. First, though, I'm going to grab my tape measure just to see how tall the figure stands. And I'd like to also, if I can, thank the folks over at Hasbro that did provide the sample of the Classified Series Croc Master we could have a look at in this video. Now, let's go ahead and measure just to see how tall the figure stands. Yeah, this one is one I've really been excited to have a look at in hand, in person. And Croc Master is about 6 inches in height, or the figure's about 15 centimeters tall. You know, seeing this Classified Series Croc Master and how close he resembles the original, I still wish I had that figure. I've long since gotten rid of all those G.I. Joes and Cobra figures, probably at least 10 or plus years ago. And I always remember Croc Master because I found this at a garage sale. It was only a few houses down from where I was living at the time. Kid, I guess, who had decided at his age, same time I decided at my age, it was time to get rid of all those toys. We're selling all of his G.I. Joe and Cobras, all individually bagged, all had their original accessories for 25 cents a piece. And what was so silly about that story was, it's not silly right now for me just to tell you guys, but what was silly at the time was I had so many G.I. Joes, more than I did Cobras, that I only decided to look out and buy the Cobra figures. I just didn't buy any of the G.I. Joes because the G.I. Joes already outnumbered the Cobras. I was a stupid kid back then. And like I said, I don't have any of those G.I. Joe Cobras figures anymore, but this Croc Master is the closest thing that we got to the original toy, just scaled a lot larger with a lot more articulation. As for the accessories that come included with this figure, you get yourself a rare albino. Now, I don't know, I would imagine this to be an alligator and not so much a crocodile, judging by how long and lean the snout is. Usually, I think alligators tend to have a more narrow. They always say that you can look at an alligator and if his jaw looks like the letter A, although a crocodile, I guess, is just a broader A, so that doesn't probably make any sense either. But I'm going to assume that this is an albino alligator. I don't know, is there such a thing as an albino crocodile? Maybe there is. Maybe there is. But you get 2 versions of them. One is more the regular, what you'd expect an alligator or crocodile, this size or otherwise, being. You usually expect them to be like this color. You can even see as well, like they've colored the interior, the underbelly of gator or alligator, and they've actually gone and painted the teeth and the eyes, although it's a little harder to make this out because it's so small in size. But you get an albino version, and you get a regular colored gator, alligator, crocodile, I don't know. But you get 2 of these. And by the way, they are made of a softer plastic. So that's kind of cool that the fact that you get those. Now, Croc Master also comes included with a knife. The knife looks nice, and it fits well into his hand. In fact, you can kind of take, do it right now. You take the figure, fit the knife into his hand. If that's one thing that you'd like to have displayed with the figure, you can do that. Or, he has a holster on the side of his leg. I had a problem, though. I'm just going to move his arm out of the way. I hope that you guys can maybe see this. Maybe you can't. But on the inside there, oh, there we go. On the inside, there was some additional little flaps of plastic that even now to take the knife, and I've done maybe about 4 or 5 passes with this now, the knife has a struggle being fit into the holster. It's like it just doesn't want to fit in there. You have to really apply a lot of pressure. I know you think to yourself, well, maybe you're putting it in the wrong way. So to take the knife and flip this around, I flip this around now and go put it in the other way, there seems still to be resistance. And like I said, I've done this a couple of times already. Pulled the knife out, stuck it back in, hoping it would try to open up that hole on the inside of his holster. But it is a struggle, I have to admit, to get the knife actually in there. The other thing that doesn't have as bad of a job to actually get into his holster, he comes included with a pistol. It's mostly molded. It's in fact all molded here in black plastic. They have added no additional paint or color or anything like that. But again, like that can fit into his hands. Yeah, funny enough, like both of his hands are actually trigger firing hands. So really, I mean, either one of them would be best to hold the gun with. Although really, he comes with so many other things as well. I really would not display Croc Master. Come on, Croc Master with a gun? No way. So you can take that. That, yeah, does also fit into a holster that's located on the side of his leg. You just take that and slot that in. There you go. A lot easier. A lot easier. The neat thing also with these classified series figures, following to what they had done already with the 25th anniversary line, you actually have removable accessories. That's kind of cool. Like the original Real American Hero figures would have all had these all molded. There's no way you'd be able to remove any of those. The figure comes also included with a whip. The whip is already pre-molded, pre-shaped in a permanent curve. There's no way, there's no place or anything on the figure where you can actually attach the whip. And I guess really if you wanted to anyways and attached it onto the back of him, it would only actually look like he had a curly tail. I think that would make him a little less menacing. But yeah, you can also, of course, as with all the other accessories we're looking at, fit into his hand. Now, he does have this rather bulbous end to his end handle. So it's a little harder to get into his fingers. You have to kind of pry the fingers away from the palm. And yeah, he can actually hold the whip as well. Fancy that. All the figure comes included with all the accessories can fit in his hand. He also comes included with a hook, which might actually be one of my favorite things he comes included with. It just looks, it's such a mean thing. Like he comes with just a big hook weapon. He's either going to be using that to bait himself a crocodile, maybe grabbing the undercarriage of the crocodile, or he's also using it just to attack the Joes with. Again, it's molded here in gunmetal gray plastic, and that can fit into, obviously, his hands. The figure also comes included with the chain leash. Now, the original Crocmaster would have also come included with the chain leash. From what I remember, though, it was all just black molded, more slightly softer plastic, actually, but it was all black plastic, and it fit around the front neck here of the alligator, or crocodile. Speaking of crocodiles, though, let's just move Crocmaster out of the way here. He does come with this giant, and I got it, like, I am so impressed the fact that we got such an oversized crocodile like this. It does have some posability to it, so it's not just like, unlike the original Crocmaster crocodile, there's actually some posability going on here. Now, this one has a name of Fiona. I had no idea that he was actually naming any of the crocodiles, but this one actually is called Fiona. It's softer, strangely, in this part of his body, or her part of her body. I would assume if he's calling this crocodile Fiona, that it's probably a girl. But there's this weird line right here. You know, it just outlines this part of the body, almost as if this part was intended to be ripped open. I mean, you can't open it or anything like that, but there's just like a seam line strangely right here. Maybe because like the top of the actual body is more of a harder plastic, and like the underbelly is more of a softer plastic. Maybe they just tried to do that. So like an original, like a real crocodile, not that you would be wanting to flip a crocodile over and start tickling its tummy. Maybe that's one of the reasons why they just want to make it, because again, like this is all hollow plastic. Maybe they just want to make it so you could actually squeeze the tummy, at least of this toy crocodile. There's posability on its legs. There's posability also on its feet. There's also posability on its very long tail that moves back and forth. As you are moving it too far back and forth, it does periodically pop off the ball joint, but it's very easy to fix. And then you've got, of course, the wireframe on the underside of the tail so you can bend the tail. Not much, though. Just enough on the end there. There's also posability here on the front. And, of course, when it comes to the neck, you can also rotate that back and forth and up and down, too. And I was certainly happy to see as well that you could take the crocodile mouth and open it up, which I think also the 25th anniversary crocodile also could do that with Crocmaster. And some super stellar detailing on the inside of the mouth. This part of its mouth is not quite the same color, though, as the side nor the top of its jaw, but other than that, it looks really, really nice. They probably did that also to make the coloring look more like close to a tongue color. And then, of course, the side tendons or whatever that would be on the side of the jaw of the crocodile obviously would be a different color. That's probably why they made this a different color. But yeah, that opens and closes. And if you did want to put the leash around the crocodile, it doesn't really fit this way. I mean, if you did do it this way, you'd really be probably scraping against the plastic and damaging it in the process. But what you can actually do instead is you can take this part of the neck off, like that, then take this part and just sort of fit it around where that open cavity now is, and then take the rest of the crocodile and just attach it in place. Now, because, like the neck part, as you can see, is a little bit broader than the spiked collar, it means that when you're putting it in place, like you kind of have to wedge everything together, sandwich everything together, and then that keeps the leash and sort of keeps the leash from moving. I want to make sure that I've got the spikes actually facing upward. This may involve you having to do this a couple of times now, just to get like the leash. I'm just gonna put like the crocodile here down for a second. Obviously, if you're going to want him to hold it, you want to have it either facing this way or you want to have it facing this way. It makes the most logical sense of having it up this way. So it means he'd either have it on this arm with the crocodile over on this. Well, I'm explaining all the obvious things to you guys. So anyways, yeah, just going to take that and attach that to the rest of his body, of her body. And again, like my only criticism I would say is like I wish like the collar was just a little bit bigger. That way, at least it would be able to fit around the neck piece of the crocodile. Like I didn't have any issues really at the beginning of this review as the figure was spinning around on the rotisserie. Of course, Murphy's Law, as it usually is the case. Now I'm having a more difficult time. But yeah, you can get the colored leash around the gator's head, the crocodile's head. I wish like the collar size was just a little bit bigger because it feels like it's too small. It's too small to fit around the neck naturally. You sort of have to feel like you're kind of squishing everything together in the process. Anyways, let's go ahead and take the whip out of Croc Master's hands. There we go. And get a closer look at the figure here. Again, like while looking at Croc Master, nothing seems really all that different from the original Croc Master that we got both in the Real American Hero line and the 25th anniversary line. I never got the chance to get the 25th anniversary Croc Master, which basically just was like this, smaller and still about the same amount of articulation. His mask, of course, still features the very bright red eyes. All of the rest of this, I would imagine, is just relying on the black plastic. He does have his breathing mask that actually does wrap around via tube onto the back tank that plugs onto the back of his torso. It doesn't really serve a purpose to have this removable, but they have it as something that can actually attach to the back of his torso. While moving the figure around periodically, I find myself just sort of banging the tank, and I always have to pop that back into place. I feel like they probably could have just glued it in rather than having it be as something that's always removable, because like the front of his mask doesn't obviously seem like this you can't remove the breathing part of the mask. So then why make this be something that'd be removable as well? Let's plug that back into place. Always really loved the design of his costuming. I would imagine, I can't make that assumption, but maybe this is actually crocodile skin that he would have actually made to turn into the shirt that he's wearing right now. It's a bit disturbing. It's a two-tone color, so like the interior, the side of it's kind of more of a grayish color, and then you have the more familiar crocodile green here on the front. You've got the cobra emblem there that's also raised on the top of it. And again, when you spin around to the back, definitely, I mean, like, if just to compare this, sorry, Fiona, I'm comparing it, like, his outfit to what you look like. You can see the scales there on the top of the back. And then, of course, when you flip it around, you can kind of see, yeah, he would have just likely taken the skin of a crocodile and just fashioned it into an outfit that he's wearing. I'm just going to leave the chain off for the time being. There we go. Let's fix her leg. The lower pants, of course, does have the notable eye there. I always loved the look of that eye as a belt buckle. I don't know what the reasoning or the story was behind that. I can't imagine that that's actually a real gator eye, but it does sort of replicate the slit eye that a gator and a crocodile would actually have had. You've got the nice coloring there of the additional stripes of yellow added in there to the otherwise very shiny chrome finished belt. Otherwise, quite dark black plastic used here for the legs. The breakup of the color is nice that they have the little holster there on the side of his leg that adds some much appreciated color. And again, like you've got the matching color of almost the same kind of grayish green here on his boots also as well. For the articulation here on Croc Master, head is on a ball joint, so you can rotate it not only back and forth this way, you can move it up, you can move it down. And at least he did actually have enough clearance. There's enough length of the tube that when you are moving the head up and down, it doesn't feel like at all you're tugging on this, because that would be the last thing I would really want. And maybe, you never know, that's maybe one of the reasons why they had this a removable tank, that if you move the head, you pop the head off, this, of course, is sort of a fail-safe. This goes along with it, so you're not accidentally ripping the tube in the process. If that's the case, quite smart on Hasbro's part to do it that way. For the arms are on hinge joints, so you can bring those out. I would say comfortably at about a 90-degree angle bend. You can take the arms and rotate them all the way around. He does also have like the little socketed joints on the insides of his shoulders. They don't seem to serve too much of a purpose here. He has a bicep swivel The figure does have a double hinge on the elbow, although he's got such large-sized biceps, it's almost impossible for him to make use of those double hinges. Hands also rotate all the way around. You can hinge those back and forth. The figure has an upper torso crunch. Not super loose, which is good. Figure has a nice waist swivel as well. Legs split out. You take the legs and move them forward and back. And obviously, when it comes to the classified series figures, we've noticed this before. When you are moving the legs, it usually then results in the legs dropping down a bit. They're supposed to be like that just so you can actually get a little more reach. Not that we have a lot of vehicles to work with right now, but the purpose, I would imagine, is just so you can actually get a little bit more range of motion with the legs. But you can easily just pop those back in. About 3/4 of the way up the thigh, there's a swivel cut, so you can rotate the leg back and forth this way. The figure does have a double hinge on his knee. He has articulation also in the boot, so it's nice to make use of that. He has also an ankle pivot this way, and the figure also has an ankle rocker as well. I really love the look of Croc Master here. I mean, I could be a bit biased. It's possible, being the fact I had the original toy. But like, this just looks like the original 80s Croc Master, just scaled up. Still sort of keeping the same, kind of the same design. It's not really much that's changed, but definitely incorporating some much needed articulation. Not only does he get it, but also Fiona, his crocodile, also gets some articulation as well. The only nitpick I could make about this set is not so much necessarily in the territory of Croc Master, but it's more to Fiona. While I like the design of the crocodile, and I love the fact there's articulation all over her body, also in the actual hinged jaw, I just wish, though, that the collar piece could have been just a little bit wider. Not to the point where you'd have to then, well, if they made it bigger, I wouldn't say make it bigger so you could actually fit it over top of her head without having to remove the neck. I don't mind removing the neck, but I do think like the neck collar piece is wider than the actual diameter of the leash. That I just don't feel like the head properly fits back whenever you have the collar on. If they had just only made this a little bit bigger, I don't mind it sits a little looser, but it certainly would not limit or restrict the head movement on Fiona's head. And it also wouldn't pop off as frequently as it does either. Curiosity did get the better of me. In between takes, I decided to look on Google, and sure enough, there is such a thing as an albino crocodile. I always just assumed it was an albino gator only, but apparently crocodiles can also be albinos. Just goes to show that in the animal kingdom, you can have an albino version of anything, even human beings as well. Now, this figure does replicate rather nicely the original 80s Real American Hero Croc Master, down to the fact it does have the chain collar. I don't have the chain collar right now over the neck or around the neck of Fiona. I've just decided to leave it off for the time being. I can't imagine that she's going to enjoy having that collar around her neck. Funny enough, I do remember the Real American Hero Croc Master having it, because a lot of the times I wrapped it around G.I. Joe's necks, and Croc Master was carrying them around. I was a very disturbed child, apparently, back in the days. Strange also the fact that he decided to name his crocodile. I guess if he gets too attached to these things, after a while he just starts naming them off. She was lucky enough to be called Fiona. The one that he's wearing right now, he ironically called that gator, that crocodile, Vest. We understood why he was calling that crocodile Vest until he walked out a few weeks later wearing Vest. Anyways, a big thank you to the folks over at Hasbro that did come through and provide the sample of the G.I. Joe Classified Series Crocmaster and Fiona that we can have a look at in this video. What do you guys think of the figure? Let me know down below in the comments section. And if you are new to this channel, you're enjoying the content that you're seeing, and you haven't already done so, make sure that you're hitting the subscribe button down below. Here he goes, talking about the subscribe button, and let me guess, the bell notification? Yes. Yes, the bell notification. With the way the notifications work nowadays, unfortunately, YouTube may not always be alerting you guys of whenever new videos are popping up. In fact, lately I've been hearing from a lot of you older viewers that you didn't even realize I was still producing content. Thank goodness for the notification system. So one way to work around that, one way to fix it certainly is by turning on the bell notification. It helps you to know when new videos are popping up, and it certainly also helps with this channel as well. We're also going to be having a look at some upcoming G.I. Joe Classified Series figures. So if that is the thing that you do enjoy, make sure that you're staying tuned to this channel, because there's definitely going to be a lot more coming your way. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Crocodile Vest. I'm here all day. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.